What is up, everyone? Lauren Sisler here, hanging out with Cole Kublik. Cole Kublik doing his thing. Had a big week 1, 2 games. Now we're heading into week 2 of the college football season, and we're going to talk a little Auburn football as they get ready to take on San Jose State in Jordan-Hare Stadium. What's this game going to look like? And, well, we're going to break it down this week on Head to Head.
Let's go now.
All right, so quick shout out to our sponsor, Cattlemen's Association, the Alabama Cattlemen's Association, because beef's what's for dinner. Cole loves his oven mitt.
Beef, I do love beef as well.
That he loves to grill up.
Had way too much of it this weekend.
Uh-oh. What kind of beef? Steak? Hot dog?
Oh yeah, steak. Yeah.
I
didn't have a hot dog, but I mean, I'm not against hot dogs.
I love a good stadium dog, not gonna lie. All right, so Auburn defeated Mercer, a big win, 42-16 at Jordan-Hare Stadium. One of the big things there, I want to ask you this before we get into the game plan, before we talk about San Jose State, 87-minute weather delay. And as a reporter on the sidelines, I've been in that situation a couple times. But I want to know from a player standpoint, what are you doing in the locker room when you have an 87-minute weather delay? That's tough.
I haven't had one that long. We had a couple short ones, I think. Main thing, get off your feet first and foremost, because the bad part about it is it's a complete reset when you come back out.
Yeah.
You're going back through your warm-ups. I mean, like, your strength coach is going to get you. You're getting back in line. You're going back through warm-ups. You're going to go do some individual stuff with your position coaches. You'll line up as a team, run through some plays. It's basically starting the game over. And most players will tell you they hate all that pregame stuff because it wears you out, because the intensity level is so high that you put more into it than you probably really need to. But you got to get ready to play a game. For me, it would have been locker room, laying down, probably continually trying to stretch every few minutes and just have some music in. Just trying to relax, trying to get off my feet, trying not to waste any energy, knowing that when we go back out, it's not just going to be, okay, we go back out, line up and play. It's we got to go through our entire warm-up routine again and then got to get ready to play. So it can be frustrating. We had a lot of them.
So this was kind of, we knew going into this we were going to see both quarterbacks. We didn't know how much we were going to see both quarterbacks. To me, TJ Finley played pretty well, of course, until the third quarter, and then you pretty much saw Robbie Ashford come in and finish out the game. I think that TJ Finley has showed some maturity. I think some better decision making. However, I think those key decision making, those throws, obviously for the interceptions, were critical and certainly cost him some playing time. Now, Coach Harsin will tell you, and I want to take a quote from him just talking about this as we dive into your thoughts about how a 2-quarterback system can work at Auburn. He said, I think everybody feels if you have 2 guys playing, there's some controversy, right? And if one guy's not good enough, you start to look at these guys as football players. So both guys are good enough to play. We've got to get them out there. It's just like the tailback position, just like the tight end position, linebackers. If they're good enough to play, then you should find a role for them. So in theory, that's what he, I guess, is saying as to why both of these guys got their playing time. He wants to see how both of them operate. Can a 2-quarterback system work at Auburn? Is it something that you think is a smart play?
Yeah, absolutely. For a couple of reasons. One, let's just rewind here a little bit. We'll go back to spring ball. And I had the spring game. We said it in the spring game, and I have regurgitated it on McElroy and Kublik in the morning multiple times, and I said it on this show last week. Brian Harsin told us in the spring, Robbie Ashford will have a role. Robbie Ashford is going to play. He will have a package of plays that he runs. Now, maybe in the spring, this was the package of plays, and now this is the package of plays, or this, whatever. It has obviously expanded because of what he did through spring, what he did the rest of the offseason, and then did in fall camp. But this was the plan all along, to play both guys because they are very different quarterbacks. Robbie Ashford's legs give you a different dynamic. It's more difficult to defend, and it forces defense to play you in a different way. Now you're going to have defenses have to prepare for both. I do think right now TJ Finley is better at surveying the field, reading defenses, understanding protections, changing things at the line of scrimmage. He is the superior quarterback there. Well, where does most of your system fall with doing those things? And then also, I think by playing both, whether it's next year, 2 years, later this year, and whether it just goes to being 60-40, whatever that is, you're preparing another guy to be able to help you in bigger games down the road.
Where do you see this Auburn defense coming in week 1, and where would you like to see them as they get ready for some of the more competitive opponents that they will face?
I like Cam Riley. I thought he was super active, sideline to sideline, showed you a lot. What I needed to see was some dominance up front. And even if that didn't lead to a lot of tackles for loss or sacks or plays in the backfield, I needed to see the interior of that Auburn defensive line control the line of scrimmage, and I got enough of that when the starters were in to feel pretty good about where they're going. Was it a plan that included a lot of disguising, a lot of movement, a lot of different looks? No, not really. I mean, it was a fairly simple game plan. Just kind of play base, play your assignment, and then go out and make plays. I didn't come out of this game worried about the Auburn defense. Main thing I want to see was Jason Jones control guys at the line of scrimmage, because that's how much Auburn needs him to perform. We got that. We saw Colby Wooden move around, do some different things, play different spots. You're going to have that. And as you mentioned, Derek Hall, Iku Leota, I thought both were effective off the edge. So I feel good about where Auburn is. And if Cam Riley can come in to be that other linebacker, opposite of Owen Pepo, then that's even more icing on the cake than I think what a lot of Auburn fans thought they were going to get going into this season. So I felt fine with the performance. It's game one, week one. I told you last week, that's a tricky offense. They do some weird things with how they line up and how they manage their run scheme. So I'm not going to be overly concerned about it. I think it's a different test this week with what you'll get. It's a little bit more of a every week offense, I guess, and how it looks and how you'll play it. Now the other side of the ball is different. That entire front seven's coming back, and they got a couple guys who can play, so the Auburn offensive line will get a big test, but I'm not worried about anything I saw defensively from Auburn.
But with that being said, you bring in a team like San Jose State. Unfortunately, you expect them to be a better team than Mercer, a better barometer type of game. They did struggle against an FCS opponent, only winning on a late touchdown there. To your point, strong defense. I think that's obviously an area where Auburn will get a little bit of competition. At the quarterback position, you got a transfer coming in from Hawaii, Chevin Cordero. We'll get to see him in action and sort of what he can bring to the table. But overall, going into this game plan, what is your prediction and how does Auburn deliver a good game plan that gives you confidence going into week 3 against Penn State?
Well, I think, like I said before, you're going to get a really nice test up front. You've got all 4 starters back on the defensive line. You got an all-conference player defensive end. All 3 linebackers going to be back. So the Auburn offensive line gets a real test. And I thought that group played fairly well last week. I thought Tate Johnson really handled his business well. Are there some things fundamentally he can clean up, especially with his feet? Yes, of course. But I thought that group, especially in the outside zone scheme, that stretch play is going to be big. We saw right out of the gate, tank, stretch play, get it going, build the offense around it. That's going to be critical. This is another big test for that play. I think Auburn should be quicker to the perimeter in this game. I would expect Tank Bigsby to have a big game outside the tackle box because I think Auburn will just flat run better than this football team will. I don't know how much success they have going right at them in between the tackles because this is a big physical defensive line that has a lot of experience with an experienced group of linebackers. So I think the plan will be to get them running, get them sideline to sideline. Then you'll see some boots off that, play actions off that where Robbie Ashford could be a guy that really creates some explosive plays in that direction, and then maybe more downfield shots. I think Brian Harsin probably sat back, Eric Kiesau sat back, looked at that game plan and said, we want to challenge teams down the field a little bit more. You don't have to do it all week 1, but I think bring a little bit of that out more because you want Penn State safeties to have to play deep and out. So then maybe you can attack the middle of the field with your tight ends like John Samuel Shanker. So attack the perimeter. I think it's a good test for the Auburn offensive line. The offense will be too much. The run game will be too much. I think the Auburn defense throws more at them, and I think Auburn wins the game 31-10.
Brought to you by Alabama Beef Farmers and Ranchers.